Lower arm or wrist strengthening is what we're going to be doing. And we're going to work today on the supinators of the wrist, and which means you're going to take the palm, and that's when you turn your palm upward. That's called supination. Another thing we're going to do is wrist extension. So that's when your hand is hanging down and you're bringing that wrist back and up. And we're going to work on the radial deviators. So your radius is along this side of your lower arm, and you're going to be flexing that wrist up towards that radius. So we're going to start with working the supinators. Now, this needs to be done with your elbow bent. You can either do it resting on the arm of a chair, on the table, or what I'm showing you today is just on my thigh since I'm in a seated position. And what I'm going to do for supination is you're actually going to allow the wrist to pronate, so the palm facing down, and then bring it back to midline. Now, holding a dumbbell doesn't really provide a lot of resistance, but I'm just showing you the movement. Okay? So there's two contractions taking place here. And what we're doing is by lowering that weight, that's an eccentric contraction of the supinators. By bringing it back up, that's a concentric contraction. Some people are going to be confused and say, well, you're not doing supinators. Yes, I'm working the supinators. The better way to work this would be, rather than holding the dumbbell in the middle, grab the end of the dumbbell, let that heavy end pronate down, so you're eccentrically working those, and then bring it back to midline. So we are working the wrist supinators here. If you want to increase that and make that exercise harder, grab something that's longer with a little weight to it and do the same exercise. Let it fall in, bring it back up to the middle. This object's lightweight, this is heavier. Since it's longer, it's going to be a harder exercise, a longer lever arm, for those of you that remember anything about physics. Okay? So, that's supination. Now, we're going to go into wrist extension. Wrist extension, I'm going to start with my arm. I'll show you from the side a little bit. Resting on my thigh, and I'm letting the wrist hang. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flex that wrist up. That's wrist extension. Okay? And then the final exercise for those wrist extensors and supinators is radial deviation. So radial deviation, rather than my palm facing down or the back of my hand facing down, I'm letting the pinky side hang down. And then I'm going to, with the thumb side, lift that up. And this is called radial deviation. Again, the exercise with the dumbbell provides some resistance. If you really want to work it, grab one end of that dumbbell and do it. Or grab something longer with a little weight and then do that same exercise. And that's strengthening for the wrist extensors, supinators, and radial deviators. And that's it.